Hi, it's Heather. I am back with another process video for Butterfly Reflections Inc. If you haven't heard of this online shop before, they do actually have a brick and mortar shop, but it's in New Hampshire. But the online shop has a ton of paper and stamps and dies to choose from with fantastic prices and extremely fast shipping. And also, if you haven't shopped there or you have shopped there, maybe you aren't aware that you any order that you place, you earn rewards for, and each dollar you spend gets I guess it's about 7%. I think that's what it translates into. But you earn points towards free products. So when you earn enough points, you can, instead of adding it to your cart, you click redeem for so many points, and each item, when you click on it, it tells you how many points that it's worth. So head on over to the shop, definitely check that out. You could be earning points before you know it for free stuff, and who doesn't like free stuff, right? So I am working on a layout from my daughter's birthday party recently. She had a unicorn party, and I chose to use the Fairy Tales collection from Doodlebug because it was perfect. I mean, unicorn colors, and it has some pretty unicorn patterns, and it also has birthday patterns in it. So it was definitely appropriate for my pictures from this party. And what I started out with was this die set from Reverse Confetti. They call them confetti cuts instead of die cuts. But I got this idea, using a banner for a birthday party is not necessarily an original idea, but the embellishment pack, I think it's called Odds and Ends from Doodlebug, for this collection, it has a few banners in it, and that's where I got the idea or decided I wanted to create a banner, but there was only like 4 or 5 of them. So this die set from Reverse Confetti is, as you can see, it cuts out 4 different pieces, and I think it's actually intended to so 2 of them are sort of backers for the ones with the cutouts. So there's a banner, and then there's a banner with a heart cut out of it, and then there's a heart with and then a heart with a heart cut out of it. I know that sounds confusing, but you can see on the screen. So basically, I went through the 6x6 paper pad and cut out a whole bunch of these, and decided to create my own banners. And this layout actually took several different turns. I mean, originally I was planning on, just doing like a swag of like a banner back and forth. And I don't know why I struggled with it so much, but then I thought I might actually back them, but I didn't cut equal amounts of each one, if that makes sense. And then I didn't want to cover up some of the patterns. So I chose to cut the patterns without the cutouts in the middle of patterns that are a little bit larger that I wanted to see. So I cut like the unicorn and the castle out of the banner and the hearts that didn't have the cutout in the middle of it. So I took a while trying to figure out how I was going to place them, but I knew I wanted to also add some mixed media to the background. So I took a break from that, and you can see that I stacked them because I had figured out in what order I wanted to put them in to spread out the pattern and the color, and then I ended up mixing them all up. But I had to edit a lot of that out because, that just would have been really redundant to watch me go back and forth. So on the background, I started out with a piece of white cardstock, and I'm using my Distress inks, and I think 3 of them are the oxides, and the small one there, Seedless Preserves, it's just a regular Distress ink, and I have the smaller ink pad. So I am just adding some color on the background, and I realized after doing this, I wasn't really happy with it. And not that I didn't like the colors, because the colors matched perfectly, and I always like to add mixed media to my background. But once I put the banners back on, they really sort of like blended in. They just didn't pop off the page as much because the colors of the inks match so well. So I go through with the packaging technique. I mean, you guys have seen this probably hundreds of times. Just smushing down the ink with a piece of plastic packaging. So here is when I am debating my background again. I liked the way that it looked on the black cardstock because the colors definitely pop. And then I debated just going back to a piece of regular white cardstock, but I felt like it just, I don't know, it was missing something. So I'm backing my photo with a piece of pattern paper from the 6x6 paper pad. And this is a photo of my daughter and her friends at her party. We had created this little photo booth for them to take pictures at. And I got this little kit from a local store called Five Below, where they have these little props. So that was fun. So this is where I decided I was going to tone down my background with some white gesso. Usually, you put gesso on a piece of white cardstock to beef it up, so it doesn't warp as much, and it helps protect the cardstock, but it also can help mute out some of pattern paper or any mixed media, and that's what I was intending to do, and I was really happy with the way that it looks. You can still see it, and it gives a little bit of color in the background. So right now I am using some translucent embossing paste from Dreamweavers, which you can find in the shop, and a stencil from Echo Park. It is the geometric heart stencil. I just wanted to add a little bit more texture to the background. And what I like about the translucent embossing powder is it's not white. It is translucent. It dries clear and it has some shine to it. And if you have color behind it, like any mixed media, it will pick up some of that color. So it just adds a little bit more dimension and interest. So now you can see that I have finally decided on the placement of my banners. I decided to place them in the sort of lower 2/3 of the layout so I can add a title. I stitched them down with my sewing machine. And if you notice briefly before I put my photo down, I had to add some white strips, just like scraps of cardstock, because the embossing paste, even though it was dry, was sticking to the foot of my sewing machine. And I couldn't figure out why it was sticking on the lower couple of banners. And then when I got to that open space that my photo was going to go, I realized it. So you can't see them, obviously, once I put my picture down. So when you're stitching on your layout, definitely make sure you use as minimal amount of glue or adhesive as you can, because your needle will get really sticky. And that's not good. So, and then in this case, it was a quick solution, just add a piece of scrap cardstock. So those are all the little hearts that got cut out when I was cutting the banners. So and some of the hearts are from the embellishment pack, and I will definitely use them on another layout. I did pick out, a handful, and I glued them, sort of inlaid them in some of the banner pieces. I popped them up on like foam adhesive dots, those small black ones that you see. Just to add a little bit more color. There's not a ton of embellishments on this layout because those banners are so much going on with them already. I do, however, go back and I add little jewels from Studio Katia. I think that's how you pronounce that. These little gems. And so right now you're seeing me, I'm struggling with the unicorn pin. So that is from Shamel, the Glitter Girl they're paper clips, and I got the pack of them about a month ago, and I really wanted to use it, but I did not like the way that it looked as a paper clip. It just looked weird sticking up on the left-hand side, so I tore the paper clip off, and it worked just fine. I was afraid I was going to break it, but I didn't know how strong that acrylic piece was, but it came off with just, a little bit of force, and the unicorn was totally intact, so I was really happy about that. Right now I'm just looking through some of the little presents. Those came in the odds and ends embellishment pack from this collection. And I don't add really any other embellishments from the collection. I debated about adding some of the stickers, but didn't really feel the need to add them. But I wanted to use that magical die cut from the Chit Chat pack. I think that's what it's called. But it, again, just because of the colors in it and the color of my background, it just it didn't pop off as much. So I decided to just take a strip of the pattern paper and layer it behind it. The only thing I wasn't crazy about is that I was trying to avoid a lot of the orange and the yellow in my banners. But there is some, because there's a pattern paper in there that has like balloons and presents on it. But I didn't use a lot of those. But I figured the magical title was perfect for this. I debated incorporating some of these glitter thickers. I believe, they're American Crafts. I don't recall which collection they're from. But I don't end up using any of those. So that little unicorn, I took the paper clip off, and it just sits right on top of the word magical, which I was really happy. I felt a little giddy about deciding to do that. So these little puffy stars are from Freckle Fawn, which you can also find in the online shop at Butterfly Reflections Inc. I love the texture of them. Who doesn't love puppy stickers? I don't know what it is about the texture, but I just love them. So I was trying to incorporate a few of those. I do end up using some so I have black and white and silver and the pink and like this mint green and gold. Then I struggled with, so that unicorn has these silver stars or hearts in it. I did splatter my background with some Heidi Swapp Gold Color Shine because that's just normal for me, right? It's normal for most people, I think. But then I didn't want to add any gold stars. I don't know. It felt like it was, it wasn't the right thing to do. Crafty problems, right? There I'm just adding some glue to the little pieces of foam that I added to the back of my title. That is just fun foam from like Target or Walmart. I cut it up. It's super cheap and easy to use. And I added some thread behind my unicorn and the lower left corner of my photo. That is my finished layout. I really hope that you enjoyed it and found some inspiration. I really was happy with the turnout, and I like the way that it looks. I hope that you do too. Head over to the shop, Butterfly Reflections Inc. Check out what they have. I think you'll be pleased. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.